T. Book of Time. The heroic attitude of a man unwilling to embody the time-honored role of the living legend. Harder than to wield weapons of steel in the midst of a seething battlefield and win banner-tattered glory is to stand alone outside existence and endure in all its raw fury the torment of time. Temporis tormentis. A heroic resolution of the mind to assassinate the entire arcos of the history of time, primeval or yet to come. To renounce utterly the dear night of the island beginning and stand stark on the black Erion of the hawking cosmos, far from the jargon of the world. But, sed mentoi beram. That has passed. So may this. Singly, from a shining icicle under an Arctic catacomb, a droplet falls perfectly upon the drop before, hovering like a cold tear on the open point of the upturned pipettes of the snow-frozen stalagmite on the cavern floor. That has passed, so may this. One moment was not the next. He was in one moment, and was in the next, and in the next could understand he had been in the last. That has passed, so may this. A sorrow-burdened man sits done out of joy. He broods in his heart, and the multitude of his sorrows seems endless. He may then think that the wise Lord himself has altered enough the world's history, showing honour and certain fame to some, and some a multitude of woes. That has passed, so may this. Rome is still history, is still time, distilled drop by drop. The Son of Man opened his eyes on the road to Cana. Turning, he found his friends behind and around him. And turning, the consternation in their eyes dissolved and became light. In the time of Rome that has passed, so may this. I have come from a land outside the world. Where are we going, my brothers? Simon said, we go to a wedding. Of a bird, Simon. and Johanan is a bird of a pearl, Simon, and that is Madalena. It is easy to tear apart what was never joined. Listen, God, take the children. I yield them from my loving chains. They are not mine, though they are always my children. They faced the way I went, yet in that single shining droplet of time, a heaven-born glance caught the light that shone in the other's eyes. Now each loves that I might once upon a time have put an end to. Well, may they together share what I may not, and that be my fulfillment. Yea, in another country. Birds, pearls. It is a miracle. Birds are pearls. Pearls, birds. That chord resolves down there. They are not mine. I yield stars. May they unite and live long in unison. But let me not ever see their Eden younglings and live another day beneath the world's welkin. But ars temporis, time heals all wounds that has passed. So may this. The dawn is like a sudden leap of the sun. It is easy to put together what was never joined. The song of these two together. Come then, my brothers, to the principality of pearls. We go to a wedding of birds. It is time. You, Book of Unison. Unison of voice and harp was the only way deeds could be eternal in men's minds long ago in the great halls of kings. We have heard of the spear Danes, the glories of kings of people in former days, how the heroes have accomplished courageous deeds. And here comes forth a hero, the Son of Man, a warrior no less heroic in the eyes of those who followed him that day on the road to Cana. Though the sword he bears shines from his eyes, and not with the light of battle, for he kills nothing but black flames that burn in warriors' hearts. As for the men who sail in his ship's wake, in after times christened disciples, serve their Lord not to fight to the death, but striving to live in a unison of loving kindness, warm as the red gold sky of an autumn sunset moving as one to the beat of their maestro's baton of the heart, its discords resolved now together on the road to a wedding of birds. From all sides, as his even keel gently plies through their multitude seas, gulls cry in his wake, and he hears the old turbine of his soul drumming up a hornet regeneration of the pride he thought he had put down forever. I am the world, the world, the world. I move through livid ravines whose sides, lined with the faces of men and women, merge to a unison of mortar and rock, shining with mirror-ball eyes of adulation. Pull down thy vanity. They are surely a creation entirely of stone. I cannot believe these are each living as unique single exponents of mankind. When the sense of being one among many is lost in this roaring chorus of praise, I say, pull down. But then, abruptly, he saw in the sunlight, bright in their shining plumage of matrimony, the two dear birds of his former torment, poised to be joined in a perfect unison of pearls. Saw them as single paragons of humankind, distilled from the clean, stirred clay of the world. And nothing so moves the human heart as the semblance of man and maiden, so young, and two so purely in love, as virgin fawns in a land before Eden. So, no place for pride here. What presumption in me to think men a mass of merged earth with no ethos. No, each man masters a world of his own, each woman her own seasons of glory, each grain of sand in the desert its own story, each in the midst of millions, but always alone. And what am I in the light of these two? A haggard voyager with patched sails, uncorked timbers, and corroded rudder irons, creaking across salt wastes through ocean gales. I travelled far beyond their sight, towards the darkening west, for I was old and they were young, and to be young was best. Aye, to be young. When I grow old, I shall write the history of the world. Hey ho, my children, yours is the feast of the world. And the feast began. Wine rang singing all the day through the guests' brains, till flowers seemed to spring from stones, and trees danced in the aisles. Then, like a boy at the heady threshold of germination, the wine's voice broke, and the urns lay panting on the floor, tilted, the air reeking with bloodied grapes. The bride observed the dearth. Maestro, the urns sound hollow to our friendly revellers, and the feasting dwindles. She touched his arm, and he said, "What? Are they empty? Wine? What may I do? Am I the golden grape, gushing an endless stream of bubbling joy down yelping throats?" Terrible as was the touch of her hand, he could not rise up now and cry, "Drink, my soul, I am your wine." Instead, he took Johannan's hand, and hers also, saying, "Soulmates, I love you as the stars. A wisdom rings a bell." Well, I suppose there shall be wine. Smiling, he put them hand to hand and turned abruptly from them to hide the tolling truth. The wisdom wept. He went to the yard of the house, crying, "Little boys, you think I cannot see you licking the last drops from these gaping vats? But I can hear your tinkling mirth echoing in these bronze and earthen urns. Go, yes, you shall be servants today. Go, fill these jars from the well, stand them here in the yard, and at the top of your voices yell, 'Wine! Wine!'" The newly minted slave boys rolled off their tipsy elfin games, and soon their voices rose clear even above the roar, for the child forever shall be heard. "Wine! Wine! Wine here!" The guests came doubting round. The Furies skipped at their backs to get a view. "Get drunk!" The son said, "Hand me a cup." "Envirez-vous, il faut être toujours ivre," and plunged it into the nearest jar and raised it high. The drops sprang off and glittered on his steady hand. "Il faut vous enivrer sans trêve, mais de quoi? De vin, de poésie ou de vertu à votre guise. Mais envirez-vous, envirez-vous sans cesse." He drank and plunged again. They watched. He thought, "Thus far it is done. Envirez-vous. I am guilty of a miraculous deed. What more but the word? Get drunk." But Johannan took that word away. "Environs-nous, let's get drunk and clinch the miracle." He took the cup, put it to his lips. At the very point on its brim the Son of Man had drunk from, and drank from there. The trickling stream sang on his white teeth and crooned on down his applauding throat. And Johannan, blind warlock, exclaimed, "This is heaven-like wine." and the miracle was done. Quickly the guests snatched cups and drank away their doubt. Time and time again the slave boys loaded the jars to bless their souls. But Madalena and Johanan, at the first taste, struck dumb, chilled to the innermost benthos, as in a mountain chasm an ice-cold torrent touches the tender heart of the hills. Conflict besieged their minds. That first taste in the garden, and this new crystal elixir. Till, in the field of their joined vision, they saw two singing souls, hand in hand, bless the shining road of a fair plain, merged far off into hills of God. They, hand in hand, with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. Johanan, what is this song? Madalena, it is wine of God. Johanan, there is blessing in it, dear one. I do not feel a need to grieve. That song calls us away. Pause here, not to grieve, but to know that a single sound ripples into an eternal breeze. Madalena, nor I, dear one. I hear Messiah singing down a winding road of God. Johanan, a song descending drowns our longings. My seed henceforth shall be the sun. Come then, let us go that way together. Madalena, yes, let us go, my love. My soul shall blossom with stars. Take my hand and lead me. Johanan, it is not given me to lead, my love. We both shall adorn the sun's wake, the Son of God. We shall follow him. We are children of sons of men. Let us make this urn the miracle of seas, and we the yearning ship. He took her hand. She held it fast till the wisdom of the water, blessed, ran in the unison of their beating hearts on that way to the well of the world's end. They scanned the feast for the sun, found him with his friends, rising to leave, to continue on their way. He said, farewell, my birdlings. We take once more the white road. I bless you in the name of God. Johanan stretched out his hand and said, I cannot cry farewell. I can only say, God is with us to the brim, but without you we shall not find him. Let us come with you. No other road shines so with that. What is it? What is it? We need it, not to die. We are your children. Take our hands and lead us. But the Son of Man cried till the walls rang with the mustang scream of despair. How long shall I glean agony for men? I do not campaign to build these sorrows. It is not my will, nor God's will, to ruin joy. Stay, my children. My world has a bleak end. Stay, my soulmates. The blossom falls. Maestro, we come the way of love. We do not find true love in wedded union. But the son wept, love. But I know you cannot know what that means. I am love. But know now and forever that I am death irrevocably, irrecoverably. Johanan gazed into his eyes and found the love there, and his voice came like a single wave on a calm shore. But we too will go that way. And as an echo that springs off distant iron clanged dominant in far-off hills, they heard the maiden's gentle echo cooing like a dove. Yes, Maestro, we too will go. And the guests listened, deaf to the inner strains of wisdom, the unison of love and death, its one resolving ocean chord, too deep and too high for their landlocked ears. And the guests watched them go. Dusk blessed their terrible departure. The white road led them out of Cana, winding far into the hills of Galileos. They went, but came no more as men. Children of God sang, moving into the dark, till, shining, they dwindled into night. Now, all the anguish of Eros, the Son of Man, encountered in his long past early days, the unfulfilled longings of the love song, Philonios, Philogunia, Orthophilautos. His yen for those winged and shining icons, Johanan and Madalena, and himself the man, forged through the God-fired ovens of agony, are all here dovetailed into a pearl perfect unison of altruistic agape, an absolute, all human and all godly friendliness in loving, Philophilia, Philadelphia, Philotheotes. L'amor cher mouve il sole et l'altre stelle. The love that moves the sun and the other stars. Passacaglia, 17. Rome's eyes are suddenly opened wide. Two suns, one rising, one falling, contra union in one countenance, and the earth is black beneath us as we walk towards the hovering enigma of the horizon. There is a cast in the eye of Rome, squints along the glittering waves. But down, we go down, all seen wider shins, up into the spiral of what is to come, an unmistakable answer in the funnel's end. God's ear rests on the shell's horn to hear the whispering of the waves. And what may God do other than listen to the voice of the sea? V. Book of Voices. Judas, first I see them in the distance, the clash of their jungle voices rising as birds, till the air flushes with the myriad plumage of conflicting opinions. Vox Populi. I do not know these people I encounter, only that there are innumerable unhorizoned seas conflowing or tossing one against another, as at an Hasidic feast the ecstatic swaying of nigunim and zemiot chanting 100,000 strong. I come, always blind and wide-eyed, twin windows where my soul stands to discover the mindset of the strongest. No multitude is ever the same, though always alike. Children without austere sires, I have to be their father. I am a ship, and my crew determine into which wind I must turn. And Judas smiled at the son's words, and smiling went away to unfetter the voice in his mind. This man may utterly transform the nation. I must hasten him. I must harness him to the prophecy for men to know his true name. There was magic in the son's name, in his hands, and when he touched a brow, the eyes of the mind remembered the voice. His friends observed. for miracles were words, and God-blessed men need no persuading. But when they asked him, Maestro, what is the art which puts the wisdom in? He smiled and said, I carry a sandstorm in my head. They wondered long, but children acclaim, they do not know. Andrew, where will he lead us? Into the dark. And Simon would glance at the sun, shaking his head at the inklings of conflict. And Judas would join their voices, vox clamantis, sometimes in dissension, gently raised, shaking his head at the conflict of inklings. James and his brother sang lost lays, and Madalena joined them in homespun harmony, bringing to light the lore and minstrel dirges of that ancient land, blending the Hebrew chants with melodies born in the Western Islands, Aegean Islands, till the hills opened wide their drone-blind eyes, and fields gleamed with the heartfelt sound. Unsaturnine, they trudged the ways of Israel, a land spiraling down, tottering on the rotting pillars of corrupt law, and silenced by the iron stamp and furnace of Rome. Unmoribund, they strode through the frowning hills, blazing a road through brazen armies of rumour. And one day they caught sight of the sea at dusk, and 5 ships dwindled dark into the unknown Mediterranean, and the sea seemed higher than the land. Johanan went leaping down onto the shore, his hair golden in the day's remnant, crying, See there, and do you hear its crying voice? A girl rises from the ocean, white, I see it, see there, see it, white on the blood-stained waves. Hey, my friends, wide-winging, it follows the dying sun. I am that girl. I'll follow the day. I'll swoop thus in the glittering wakes of those 5 ships. They are flying, flying to my world, the Aegean Islands in the western seas. Let me, then, leave this burning east and dwell in the cool hills where I was born. No, Johanan, it is not yet time to die. I, too, my bird-born, follow ships unknown. It is easy to dream, too easy to seek solace in past Edens. Yet I, too, shall be a dwindling hull, a seabird flying to a longed-for land. Gently, my bird, we go down. But this is the world of my fathers. Listen to the voice, Vox Dei. I am the sea which surrounds islands, clings to world's far continents, where my words shall sound on all shores, my voice in the tides that rise and fall. Come away, come my way, my ocean is east and west, always. I am with thee, I will bring thy seed from the east, and gather thee from the west, and bring my sons from far. Together, gently, my bird, let us go down. You wonder where I am leading you. This day into a gentle dark. Tomorrow to a land where alien religions gang. Sidon, the hideous temple of the world. They heard the city's creeds far off. Sidon was worn with vermin gods, each jaded day conceiving a new one. Gnats on a stagnant pond, dying at dusk. Sidon, the city of purple tinsel wisdoms, where every voice was vox Dei, vox populi, the seething babble of the world, where the Son of Man voiced his new coined message to the world's ambassadors. I dwell in all the religions of the world, and I come to join them. But, as of old, catastrophe kissed his brow, vox populi, jargon of creeds, smashed the pith of the city, wind shattered the screens, shrapnel of gods dives from the sky, screams under the rubble that wall-crust the children, skewed rail tracks in my ears, voices, is it a dream, happened once, that was in the last, this is the only, what, when was it, no, this, the ground, blew up under us, nothing came down, what was under, brought down the highest skyscrapers, see, that was living brain, a man's mind, voices, war, jargon of it, staring eyes, black ribs, flame thrown, dakka, dakka, flesh was God, flesh gone, bones, blown sand. Who began the world's end? Peace, my God. Who began the world's end? Peace, my God. Judas, I began the world's end. Peace, my God. Judas, my friend, why did you save me from the fury of that godless world? Why have you washed my wounds? Maestro, they bleed. Be ever my shield, Judas. Where are my friends? At hand. This is the seashore. How did I come from Sidon? A king in my arms. A king bearing no arms, Judas. Judas, forza giocoso. Maestro, if it is him, I hear God laughing. God made us, says the earth, but I say God made me for his divine mirth. I, red as hysterics, am God's toy. He grins at our unhappy prophets, Maestro, is filled with joy at our calamities, turns men against men for his entertainment. God is good, says the earth, and Maestro says, God is good. I, Iscariot, I care little for God. Let me alone and alive, and I thank God, whether or not he loves me. He loves us. Who knows? whether or not he loved them, the apostles nursed their scarred conviction, leaving that goddamned city behind them. But the Dolomite trolls of the land hammered at the soles of the sun's feet and shuddered up through his frame till they knocked at his heart's gate. I stood on the threshold of the world amid the free envoys of far lands, but their brass skulls struck flint at my voice, snarled at my whipped veins till they bled, draining ichor into the gutters of the harsh earth to soak unwitnessed into the death sand. Kings, do not gaze into chests of war. Build cities. No, Judas, my saviour, hate is in empire's eyes. I see it blaze from citadels in the night, hear it clanking by day, hardly valleys distant. One command flings down 1,000 men, 1,000 a word worn to martial death, till lands rear their barren heads and scan their devastated fields. I cannot change the world, God. I surrender thy creations. They have been beautiful, but now are wounded and scarred, nor can I heal the world. Hate is in empire's eyes, not love. He listened to the sea on his right hand. Alone from his friends, the Son of Man heard the surf-merged voice of God, crest risen from behind the waves. I am the inlaid filigrees of salt spray, entrained in the wakes of waves, admonishing at their salt-eroded shores with the dark undertones of the sea. Listen, maestro, or be a voiceless gull over my foam to gather snatches of this ocean dirge. There is an end to life's shark way beyond where stealth black fins cut sombre chasms. There is an end. A far-off front of the sea, an island stark strewn with human skulls, grinning at the predicaments of the flesh. Isle of the dead. But do not shudder here. Your life does not end there, nor elsewhere, for I hold it in my churning hands, and having found it, shall not let it go. Found it long before now, and you know that. When whom I found alone, able to voice the heroic love song of the Son of Man. Whom I chose was that one Son of Man, whom you are to the far ends of mankind. You are my son's name, the voice of earth. You are whom I am. What more to say? But whom you are must fix its foundation firmly in your mind, and you may find that, and find me in the full flood voice, das sutomos thalassios of the waves, and in the singing merman of the cosmos. Sank away under a falling breaker, dwindled, clinging to the sun's feet. He knelt down by the sea and touched the shining water. Here are my hands, Father. Things forgotten lose their meanings. Words have turned into sound. I shall follow whatever beckons me, into whatever wind, in whatever doom. As wind that sails seaward, his voice diminished, till only the ocean's voice came to his friend, saying, "We have to die, my brothers. Come with me to Zion, the place, the hour, with the sun down, that the sun may rise. And down belong between the riddled spans of Israel's isles they moved. Through the arched halls confined the kneeling God of the Hebrews. There was nothing in their designs to contain the idea of Eroica as they moved together down along the land, till Nazareth stopped them with a cry. Yatatai! My entire world is now the cast-off seed. A flower blossomed in this garden, friends, till God bent down and picked it. An innocent hand picks flowers and makes a delightful posy for the smoking bonfire. The world was its compost, friends, but the flowers dying as the earth dries up, no soil deep enough for its roots. I am a man transcending the world. They will come, will be a time. The world's not enough for a man, but not in the time of your world. I am for stars, but even these. This is my house. No voices. A wonderful silence as among cones of neglected slag heaps. And Madalena remembered the place, the hour, and gently her voice. Friends, come away. Let him alone. Be with his father and mother. This is his home. He thanked her with his eyes. He opened the door. Age smoked in the creaking light. The woodman was a riddled log, long lain in the swamp. Upright, Joseph sat, white in the dark, in the room, on a wooden chair. Joseph had gone into his bones, whose brittle marrow warred to hold up his frame another day. The spine, having resolved not to buckle, now could not. Rigid, he throned the room, a little kingdom with no people, and a dying king. Thin hands folded forever on his empty lap. The son looked at the father's eyes, unblinking lids gazed back. His gaze swerved and stopped upon his mother. She sat at the window, dying of greed. They heard their son's voice. Do not forgive me. I have not been your son. When I was young, I voiced dreams. Now have none to speak of. I come not of my free will to greet thee, mother, and thou, father. Thee also with words of farewell. I am the wound in your heart. I abandoned for the wilderness. Your Canaan is no more with me, nor his father, and the priests have nothing left alive. I said then, now ye therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your hearts shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. I took your joy from you, and you cried, because you imagined you had lost a child. So cry now in joy. You have lost a child. Father, happily you are not with me, or with Jehovah, or with God. I am going now to Jerusalem. You shall be happy, and your joy no man taketh from you. Shall not die a harrowing death, but change from this world to other, with no fear-filled alteration of mind. When I die, the whole world shall change forever. My chosen catastrophe. In this wounded world, what is pure rises only from the garden's dereliction, and you in memory shall become eternal. I was a seed, a flower, has to die, but may at least, at last, thank the earth. And Joseph strove to rise, shins swinging idly from the chair, and wept, who am I now sliding on this endless scree? In the room, a wick flickered in black wax. The son said, "Father, sire of God's son, and mother, matriarch of gods." And the sighing voice of Madalena, the mother of children, forever a mother of mankind, and a child, a man, a god, flowering from the seeds of love. And the voice of the Son of Man. The Son of Man is the love child of God. Though you cry now, I shall not. I shall have my hour to cry in. There's a splinter of glass in my heart, has not moved since when God put it there. One day, and that day soon, he'll move it. But you'll not hear the whole world thundering down, nor from the doomed walls of Jehovah's kingdom the last despairing voice. W. Book of the World. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita. In the middle of the journey of our life, I came to myself in a dark wood where the straight way was lost. The guide and I went in by that hidden road to return to the bright world. We mounted up, he first and I second, and thence we issued out again to see the stars. E quindi uscimmo a rivedere la stella. We have journeyed through a mind whose roads have been our narrative, and where it seems the Son of Man has walked alone, and often with no guide. But now we emerge from this man's inferno and return to the bright world, again to see the stars. And what is this old world but world, the word that is man, and the old that is age? Aye, the world we dwell in is the age of man. Hear the sound of dwelling, and each to man and Wifmon, and all mankund alive are true-born denizens of this dear world we know. Here in the dwelling of sound. Nor yet do they see in him a shining avatar, for them a son of God, for them a son of man, a man among men, walks through their towns and speaks of God, and yet they have inklings of unseen radiance and aura within, beyond their understanding. Do not imagine I walk in an empty land, or that hallowed and apart from the people I shine like Apollo aloft on a burning throne. No, my friends, I am a man of flesh and bones, has lived on earth perhaps 10,000 days, unblessed and unholy, wholly a man of this world. But embers of doubt smouldered bright in the eyes of those nearest him, and they shook their heads. Oh, my friends, if not, whom do men say that I am? He lifted his eyes, and in them Judas alone saw whirling kingdoms scudding across the world, falling and rising, and raised his hand to tell them, no, Judas, no naming now. But in his mind a whirligig of names, end or beginning, the world's decision, whomever they choose to say I am, I have to choose Alpha or Omega. I am none or I am all. What do I say? I could be Abraham resurrected, or any of those prophets lived and died, fanatics for God, Hosea the harlot's husband, or David of the kingdom come, not come. Oh, my son Absalom, the idyls are lies. Oh, Isaiah, who christened the servant, oh, Jeremiah, howling in Babylon his blue dirge of the grief of the fallen land. Oh, earth, earth, earth. Oh, world, world, world. No, none of these. I am a man tangible, a son of man unchristened. But how can they know of a word yet uncoined? They know the name my father kenned, Yehoshua, meaning Yahweh saves, or Jehovah cries. The name as blue hills are by the glint white glacier of time eroded down to its fundamental Jesus or Jesus, meaning a cry for salvation. And this world craves salvation in this age of man. Jehovah's cast aside on the smoking bonfire, abandoned in a forgotten walk of the garden. Not I to be a resurrected prophet or one for him. Israel's religion's dead, now that its God has served its end, to mingle God and man and shape his world. But the Hebrew cult, a tooth for a tooth, implanted in the granite jawbone of the indestructible Hittite landmass, will never wear out. Like the old leather satchel, it's kept in, carried by the wandering Jew who never dies. And Mahatmas will cry in latter days, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And the voice in the wilderness said, I shall fashion you another form and a name, unchained to creed or realm. You are one for the iron causeway, gifted with song, and in whom love is more dear than any held zeal of mankind. Any held zeal. I have neglected love. Its meanings are legion, and on its battlefields many legions are lost. He stepped down from the faded paintwork of his mind's carousal, and once more quizzed his friends. Whom do men say that I am? And Simon answered, prophetic rumors cross in the winds, but no name in their voice. We've ransacked the creed to its spine, held saplings of ash to the arid fields, but find no way to divine the wellspring of the man you are. Simon, the scripture moves us in sundry places, even here on the road to Zion. But earnestly I move you to unlexicon the words and listen only to the sound. The beating of the heart tells us the history of the living world. If there must be naming, let me be christened from the iron tattoo of your heart. Master, what is it to be christened? No man but you has uttered this lexis. Simon, whom I am, you say no man can say. But I ask you, to your eyes, whom do you say I am? Master, unwittingly, has coined the conclusion. Pausa lunga fermata, Christos sospirando. Maestro, forgive me. Thou art Christos, Son of the living God. The Son of Man turned on his anchored feet, his gaze roaming the empty skies, until he saw infinite cities of stars moving fast across the shoreless air, too near to hear the perpetual thunder of those vastest godheads dying forever across unbeheld oceans. Then he saw world and its fair lands on the first, on the last day, and Israel, the given sign of the world. Down there, who is that man stands bewildered in a gathering of comrades? The son of Joseph and Mariana. It is my body. It is I. Then widdershins, all things turned, all wheels, all spheres, till in one flash the Son of Man beheld the whole construction of the universe. A terrible machine, wheels, lines, and angles parting and joining where stars were the sound of grinding cogs. And the Son of God saw a particle of God, our little world, a nanominim of that machine, this boson shining in the jeweled brocade of the cosmos. And now, not ever alone, a so much vaster concatenation of created elements, since when God found it alone in his hand. And the Son of Man knew that nothing could be huge, not in his cries, not in his designs, to contain that idea of this vast, sudden beholding of the whole world. He said, I am Christos, but not as you think or can be thought, not from the creed of Jews nor any land. I am not any man from Abraham to Zechariah, nor any man but myself, and as myself alone, I am the Christ of the world. If you can find meaning of that therein. One day I will speak of evolution. Then you will know that I am a man transcending this world we dwell in. My little children, I should not be here. I am for the stars, but even these may not suffice. The weight of my mind has plunged the world into darkness, and only when I die shall the world rise up from the deep and understand the light. He ceased. Their over-creeded minds could not contain another word. Their abashed brains were shooting stars that meet head-on in the heavens and explode. A fascinating explosion of the air in the tossed waters of the mind. But the Son of Man put up his hands and held their destinies apart. The clattering of their derailed wisdom reeled and swerving, birds, birds. And when the Son of God smiled, the birds by instinct flew together in an absolute formation in the world skies. But Judas Iscariot sheared wide, a wounded bird descending, chained to the clashing ground. Maestro, you are the king, the promised servant of the Jews, and to me nothing other than that. In Sidon I saved a king, harnessed to the prophecies of Israel. If you deny that now, I am not of your clan, unless for Rome's destruction and the glory of Jehovah. No, Judas, that is the old world. It is too easy to fall in with the null creeds of the 71 Synhedrion, whose parable is now their limitation. Judas, break out from the prescribed crescent of the assembled Sanhedrin. Forget the words. Listen to the sounds. But Judas could not. His mind was a code, and only by letter could inform. Abruptly, he turned away, nursing his bitter kingdom. He stood there, black fires in his eyes, a little way from where Simon stood. And the Son of God looked that way and cried, "Get thee behind me, Satan. Have I not chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil?" But neither man knew to whom he was speaking, nor the meaning of the words, and cast down their eyes. And the Son of God said, "Jehovah leave us." He could have done much, my children, but fear not. He has one thing more to do. But again, they could not understand him, and knew to whom he was speaking. Simon, the words I speak now are for you. You have transformed the world, shall be christened what it once was, a slowly eroding stone. In the name of God, I christen you Petros, a man of Petros, the endurance of stone, and upon this Petra enduring rock I shall build my world edifice. You shall drill out the decay in the very teeth of Rome, and implant in the world's jaw a shining new monolith of white iron. And if ever that is found to be a new gateway to heaven, you shall have the first keys to open wide the doors. Or should they ever be found corroded with gold, to lock them forever. Now your name is Peter. Earth has conceived its first idea, its one inspiration, and you shall hear in later times the music of the world's mind. He met their eyes, and one by one, but one, they smiled. The lonely deputation lined a high ridge with the Christ leading over the way and the far hills, but without Judas, who loved better to be inhabiting his wilderness of dust, Israel's cast-off seed. And then, in the brightness of the morning, they heard the far-off crying of Zion. Passacaglia 18. Christos kai diabolos. Dialogos. Satan, come from behind me and stand at my right hand, assist in the craft of my devolution. There is no light without dark, no form without shadow, no joy without pain, no good without evil. To be what I am to become necessitates an antagonist. Without assault, my compound walls shall never grow sinews of iron. You are the architect of my triumph. Your duty and your joy also is to oppose. But what if I, Diabolos, renounce my kingdom? There will be no perpetual meaning in God's spell. This Mephistopheles, Satan, Lucifer, by whatever name known, there is no nihility of evil, is a constant in the shining mathema of the raven cosmos. The X and the O will never be exonerated for being, will forever contend, and in the union of discord create the lambent chorale of the universe. You imagine others helmed in your black coronet, with brazen panache, will crow at your conquests. But I tell you, Diabolos, no matter how often you may attempt it, you cannot, in any world or age, ever abdicate. You are the inert ex thanatos, icon of death, and its crossed instruments, and pedoctonos, killer of children. I am the living O, Athanatos, icon of love, agape, philia, storge, eros, now bound into a singular kenning of my own coining. Aga, philosteros, the entire maelstrom of love. X, the mind, cold logic of reason. Logos. O, the heart, warm ecstasy of feeling. Empatheticos. All computations of history past, here now or yet to come, derive from the twin sign of Taurus, Ox, Tauros, where O is the head of love in me, X, the lethal horns you hate, and none more horns in heaven. Hear me, Diabolos. I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. As for me, haply, in verse 18 of the 18th Psalm, they prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. And happily, here is the miraculous chai of two letters, het and yod, the numbers 8 and 10, making 18 in the Hebrew gematria code, chai, meaning living long life, a heavenly token, blessed with eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. And Satan, amen, it is you, by your necessary noumenon, have made our synergy eternal. And the Son of God spoke no more to the devil, was swept across indifferent waves towards the iron-cast eye of Rome. X. Book of the Cross. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who murder the friends sent to redeem your name, how often would I gather together your children, as a bird gathers together her young under the warm protection of her wings. Zion, Zion, however I may have condemned your creed, I often yearned to save those climbing sons who have walked on that holy ground, over the stone way and through your walls. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, who will not let me bring you into wisdom, not to damn you in your own name, only to blunt the rugged blade. But you have denied me wherever I go. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you shut the kingdom against men, yet do not go in yourselves. You ransack the world for one aspirant, and make him worse than you are in corruption. Woe to you, blind guides of the seeing! You clean the rim of the cup, while in the cup the wine is foul. Damned are you who adorn tombs with gold, when the poor cry in the streets, dying on the diamond roads. Hypocrites! For in the days of the prophets, whose tombs you now deign to gild, you would have been the first to stone them, as even now you conspire to beat my brow, and shall. For I, too, am a prophet risen in your land. I have to go through the same gate of Zion, but they shall be amazed. For I am not only of Israel, and shall not have an earth bound tomb. And we know the weapon of my annihilation. He who could best protect me when catastrophe kissed my brow. Iscariot will abandon me today, yet he will come. Across the Son of Man again, whether I be for him David or a promised king, whatever name our roads shall cross, our ways shall be made crossed beams. With my arms spread wide, will hail him from above, shall cross him in both east and west, as he to the bleak north crawls from the comfort of the south. And that shall be my icon in earth's memory, my wisdom never to be chained in bound books, though men after me shall attempt to enlighten by letter alone. Loving kindness, however, is without words. May my fate not be that of the prophets who now live dead, engraved and scrolled. I am a living man, not an amanuensis, however much the words may inspire, and I shall alter upon the altar of progress the entire windroad of worship in the world. I am the unknown quantum, the quaver and the breathe. I am the rest suddenly leaps from the outrageous fantasy of impossibility to scrape at the bones of belief. Those who know what I know cannot share their knowledge. I am conceived and understood for every man in separation. Only in action can men come together. Zion, Zion, I come into your walls to satisfy convention. My friends, let us go into the city, the stream of Kedron, Gethsemane, Siloam. There Gehenna burns. Names we shall make eternal. Let us go up. And the Son of God led them into Jerusalem. The gate stood wide before them, and he smiled. But the gnashing ground reminded him of sea and parables, and he was silent as he entered the city. Despair was an engendering seed. The sire of resolve fruited the seed of his soul, till in him feud of father and son cut across the peace of his mind, cut across against the Golgotha sky of his auguration. Now let me prove the legends of the temple. I shall murder Jehovah and his erotic brood, and cleanse the name of Zion, a city that I love, wherein the blood of God and the Christ once crossed. Then, hearing the boisterous surf of trade breaking within the walls of Zion's shrine, the whinnying of mules, the screech of bargain, mixed with the mundane drone of creed, the son's heart shuddered at the sound. He came close to the sweating temple, the white walls heaved high above him as if to shoulder him out. The gates hung wide, askew on their rusted hinges. Then, with thudding of hooves, a mule came howling out, whipped to its unstrung veins by custom, cursed with men's sins, to be driven out to the wilderness to die, a token of ridded Hebrew crimes. Pursued by those that branded it, a crowd of curring men and shouting dogs resolve to celebrate its annihilation, quite unaware that while they were gone, another sacrifice in Zion would transform the world. Mastix, XVIII, Eclaptor. Rise through the heat, a scalpel slash in the mart's flesh. Face the retching gate in at which he plunged into maelstrom of man, beast, machine, the ire in his breast gurgling up ghosts of clouds as black as pitch, pitched on combusting oil. Coins and wares clattered in that exchange. Mules, sheep, swine, kine shrieked in the yards. Men and whores rose sweating from the shades to flee from one galactic chaos to another, in vain trying to shun the basilisk in his hand, whirl-wound down the rotting aisles. He, supreme necrotomist of God, thrust that pristine exister at the festering boil, sprayed generations of fetid pus, vile and running down the land's skin, as he unloaded the just holster of rage. High from the sentinel tower of Zion, armed with the iron gold of Rome, a guard observing murmured, another upstart. How many more can this ranting nation vomit up? Their crosses disfigure the city hills. Sed res inter alios, civis Romanus sum. He, Yehoshua, wielding the battle light of his name's genesis, thrust at the temple's bloated guts till it retched and threw up its filthy cud. And in the midst of this voided pestilence, he, the incensed Son of Man, ravaged through, he, a fighting white cell in God's tainted blood, clotted at the thrush mouth of this unholy wound of Zion, blindly to avoid death, the better to let bleed the stream. He, Sun the White, his fury not yet slaked, battered at the ripped open scar, till the venom poured out of its walls, howling through the streets of Jerusalem, till the temple trembled, void of men. And when the 11 went in, they found him standing in the ruins. His hair hung smoking across his brow. He had become all eye, burned and altered as they neared him, yet shining still with that inspiration. His eyes an ocean with no shores, and those eyes that will never close. I have gutted a shrine. They will come back. I have given them elixir for my end. Oil, it is in the hand of my Father, shall ignite their faltering lamps, and renewed fire chastise my name. I have built the everlasting crux, icon of my annihilation. They shall hammer in the last nails, and I, impaled with iron, my soul shall gut itself. And his disciples remembered that it was written in one of the Psalms, "The zeal of thine house hath eaten me up." And he said unto them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Little children, yet a little while I am with you, and whether or not Zion shall fall or rise, in 3 days will the temple stand, shining far into Israel and to other lands. I am the temple that shall fall, shall rise again, for I will stand here before you, my arms held wide, a temple of God. Its 2 beams will be seen forming a lasting cross. Passacaglia 19. Prodotis Iscariot, witness in the temple, stepped out and stood before the Son of Man. What you utter is utter heresy. To deny you are the King of the Jews condemns you as a confessed heretic. Judas, I love better to be an heretic. That is my name. What prophet of Israel in his time was ever anything but heretic? I am heathen, Judas, for I am alien to the Pharisees, who have wrenched the songs of God from Israel's soul and made them serve their stillborn aspirations. I am love, Judas. You'll ask me what I mean. Love is heathen in Israel, an alien creed in this contending world. Indeed, I am heresy. Say so. Scream it from the pediment of the temple. It will become your own impediment. Judas, my thanks. You have christened me. All who come in God's name to steer the deviating ways of men are heretics to the established cult. flames of inferno burned in Judas's eyes. This devastation done in your name is the manifestation of your creed. They gather now, naming your crimes. I know, Judas. Let them gather. Go and assist them with my dissolution, but do not go without my blessing. You saved me once in Sidon, and yet again you shall bring salvation by betraying me. Go your way now. Both ways are dark, yet whether you go or stay in my wake, you shall be blessed, for light comes wherever we may roam. For know, I am the light of the world. You cannot wane it, Judas. I hear them coming. Find them. Tell them where I am. I am here. Here in Zion. I beckon my end. Heretic, this end you speak of is not the work of Zion. It is Rome. If you had been my king, Rome would have fallen first. Judas, I am beginning to love Rome. One day I will tell you why. Black light in his eyes, Judas turned, and they watched him stride off towards the gathering clouds. The disciples looked up into the falling sky, storm-warned. Romans, Rome. They could hear waves thundering under the inclines of the hill, boisterous voices of crushed minds, not of the sea, and in the dark they gathered round the Son of Light in that hour and place of desolation. They led him, silent, out of Jerusalem. Down from the Holocaust Mount they moved into the dark, over the stream by sad Siloam. Then up the other side of the valley, looking back on Zion, they heard the cumulus anger of the Jews and saw the guttering engines of Rome. The Son of Man stood, his eyes wide in Israel. They did not close in that grim night, nor evermore in the waning of the world. Why? Book of Youth. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth. A galaxy of children in the morning sun came running down from out of Zion, and they brought young children to him, that he should touch them and pray. He sat on a rock to be their height, saying, Jerusalem comes to meet us. And the disciples rebuked those that brought them. But what is this something askance in your eyes, my brothers? Peter said, see not only the sun. There are clouds, and Zion's children are the omens. Peter, these children are the world, shall become our masters. Our God shall be living still when we are not, or nearer to what is yet to come, and from them evolution sings. Their sons already are our gods. Evolving man becomes an icon, an avatar of something higher. And as now we lord it over beasts, so shall we be the beasts in time. Will come, will be a time. But Maestro, there are some will say, you love them when they are not willing. Aye, Peter, so I do. I love their human eyes, shine like black pools in deep wells. I love the linnet alto of their voices, sing no words, but music of the heart. I love them for the beauty they are not aware of, and for beauty willingly I bear burdens, for they are all my own children, are sons of God. Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of God. And the Son held wide his hands, and he took them up in his arms, put his hands upon them, and blessed them. And they found him the fondest of gods. You, my friends from Galileas, know now that I am the sea, on whose wide eye sail the hulls. Brave my benign glance when the sun shines. It seems I would kindly becalm them, and never break out into storm. But times were I yearn to unrudder a fair keel, to sink and plunder the holded gold within its fragile ribs. I have to be calm as a doldrum moon, never fling high a bedevilled wave, unkindly to gull the loved prow, thrusts the shining eye of my ocean way. Do not pretend to misunderstand this bitter of parables I expound, or, as children, ask for enlightenment. O ye that still follow me, you who are God-leaning here in Zion, dear few among the innumerable blind, how I call to you crying, Zion, Zion, let your children sing of God. Let me say to you now, How often my eyes have looked towards Jerusalem for the little ones who come so dearly down to us now on the worn road, they whom I love, who shall at last leave, who shall die as they ascend. Again, friends, I say it, let the little children come to me, for such is the kingdom of God. Like these with us now, I look upon fondly. How often have I heard the young sing, but when there was no sound of singing, thought they were gone away forever. No, children, you are never gone, shall never leave the caverns of my mind, wherever you may be in the dark world, or wherever I may go. Are so near to God, your voices rise above the wilderness of the world, clear even in the drone of mankind. Do not be gone into the darkness I bring in my eyes. Be heard, singing forever far off of God, and let me only have sight of your eyes, shining to guide me in the dark ways. For now to me, holy is the way you go over the stones of this ancient town. City of David, city of the world's tears, Jerusalem. And so did the Son of God speak of the children of God to the sons of men, themselves even as children. Morning rebukes the stars. Come, children, it is the day of my beginning and death's end. Then confusion came thundering up out of the earth. All Jerusalem burst into harsh sound, hit the peaks of the far hills of Israel, and wheeled, so maddening the so often incensed wilderness, that the dunes flung back their intolerable heat into the sun. Sand and light running down the side of a glass funnel and filling the clear flask of day with brightness of the morning. Then unending din of men sounded about their ears, the screams of tradition plunging in ruins, and the thunder of wheels where Rome and Israel mingled in catastrophe. Blood thudding in the blue pistons of flesh rose, brimming to the faces of men, turned its scarlet force into frenzied cries. Women mourned near and far off in insane dirges. Doors and windows hung wide their gaping jaws, took in the lashing waves of multitude and the hideous headlines of the streets, or to free from dark rooms the thin, plaintive wails of young and old in their Zion homes. For the young are old, and the old are young, and to be young was best. Some calling to the sun to come and heal them. Why not us? Why now not us? Some cursing him for not being there, others for being there, till the echoing cacophony of foam-flecked tongues soared and sustained, ran raucous and deranged, tearing out the sinews of the streets. Zion screamed with the pang of cracking bones, her ancient ribs exposed to the gored air, thrust through the leaden scum of her flesh, as the rising torrent of contention foamed from the apocalyptic homes, till the shining limbs of David showed and were lost in the smoke of chaos. Now no man knew kin or man. It was a time of coming in, the sun white on a grey mule's back, welcomed as King of Hebrews come. They laid his way with shining wares and palms, Judas would have smiled, and resounding cries of praise. Hosanna in excelsis, benedictus qui venit in nomine Domini. And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? And the multitude said, This is Yehoshua, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. But to their eyes he was a god, soaring from their far-off eyes, a light rising from the grey earth, white from the plains. But despair scourged his fair, wide brow. How Judas would rejoice now in my given name, erring to the second fall of mankind. No, I am no king of lands and men, and yet they harness me to that detested frame. Be you a sign of my lowliness, be token of my toil. You are what I am, one to bear burdens for man. But there will be a time when man shall be the slaves to what evolves for man, the unknown ends of later evolution, men and engines merging to become a higher being. Gladly I go now, willingly I wane for them, in whatever name they choose, if I may first expound that love given to me by God to give to men. But men understand nothing but destruction. I cannot speak of building stars. Mule, be my only friend in this hour. My friends from Galilee shall be lost in the fury of this multitude. Zion, Zion, how much is this city the world? Man is the clone of man in all fields. This world hull holds an unchanging kindred, no alteration in the mind. Yet one day, when their own engines begin to fuse and overwhelm them into a higher world, they will need to climb into their hearts and use the God-given gift of human love, maybe for the first time. Rome, the guilt-ridden example of wisdom, yet undetected, men and engines joined in a barbarian cavalcade to achieve new empire of the world. Yet even Rome seems lost amid this seething multitude. The people watched him. The windstorm of dust diminished with delirious music of their eyes. All the city listened. All Zion heard. A far-off bird, weeping down from the hills and rising over Israel, over the world, over the seas, and where their horizons wane, where they join the skies, join the stars. And in that moment all things were God's, and all there knew this to be so. And God wept, but they knew it not. And the Son said, "Acknowledge me from God, and you shall hear God. I am the door. Except by me, there is no way to come in. Consider the fate of your children. I see the fall of cities throughout the world. Hear the thunder of cascading dynasties, bedizened kings unthroned and dazed in the blood-stained icefall of their lost wars. I see oceans of armed men rising to smash their Temblor-created waves upon the land. And what is the destiny of waves? Rolling high upon the collapsed sagas of the past, more are to come. I hear them approach, even now, swanning my eclipse. And Zion shall be the first to fall. Shall come a time beyond our generation. Our children and their sons shall know, shall confront millenniums hence, invisible shields and weapons of stealth beyond imagination now. You who think you are immortal through the lives of your children, know that they shall die, and end your names, tribes of the Hebrews scattered throughout the world, and ashes do not breathe. Mankind, however, shall not altogether die, shall aspire to govern the stars, and he shall come who will. Yet, when the end is imminent, when earth shall not suffice, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then they shall see the Son of Man with great power and great glory, shall come in the clouds, in the seas, in the fire of mountains, to devastate the world, because the world lost its self-esteem, becoming the cast-off seed, dashed by the miracle of darkness. And then he shall send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. You, who are able only to understand destruction, you shall have that irrecoverably, unless we see the allegiance of loving kindness forever and ever. My little children, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. I, who am transitory, long to be forever able to tell men of things everlasting. They heard him crying over the stones of Zion, and murmured in the streets. And in another place a merchant held in his hand a pair of scales, saying, "This side for the prophet, this for us." I put gold in at random either side. Now let's see who prospers. He lifted up the scales. The crowd was silenced. Neither side fell down, and wonder rippled on the air. And still in Zion, the Son of Man, the first miracle, even the cynic, forlorn pendulum, despaired, deny the miracle, unparable the wisdom, so long the hallowed veins initiates a creed, the solitary cry, the perpetual lash. In the days of my youth I remembered my God, and he hath not forgotten my age. This is not to echo the words of old men. I am young, and speak of the young and unborn, and I sing to them the youth of the world. All day long the sun expounded wisdom for children, have no austere sires to build them erudition. At dusk he and his friends went down to rest, and he said, "O Siloam, witness that I still love my friends. Tonight we shall have bread and wine together, here in Jerusalem for the last time. But now look down into this pool of Siloam. Madalena, what do you see there?" "I see night coming. I see the rising stars." And the Son of Man turned and wept. "I am the rising stars. I am the night. I have been young, but now am old." And she was young, and I was old, and to be young was best. And yet saw I never the righteous forsaken, I am now without geneticos, save to generate power to die. Friends, go now into the city. Find me a room serene and bread and wine. Then come to me here again. But Johanan said, You shall not wait alone. The son held out his arms and took Johanan into them. What liege lord ever had such dear myrmidons? What man who all his life has loved the young ever knew such loving friends? None but I and mine in the darkening world. Stay then, Aderin, mine of the air, and Madalena, pearl of the ocean, stay now and be with us. Let me hold the hands of the children I love while you are gone, yet stay not long. I will be kneeling here in this garden beside the still water of this lowland tarn, here under these noble dark trees, when you come to us again, and holding my children's hands. It is Eden. Turning, they left Love and his children kneeling wordless by the pool of Siloam. Hearing the nearing dirge, they rose into the looming fort of Zion. It took them into her heartbreak caverns, their black eyes shining in the darkness. And the three who remained gazed long at the rising silk screen of the moon. He who loved the young, the maiden bride, immaculate bridegroom, Philonios, Neoniskos. Heaven-like trinity of earth-born love, the Son of Man, whose tears shone in the stars, Madalena, the icon angel of his longing, and Johanan, the youth and true love of his soul. Passacaglia 20. Now begins one more Ion Chacon, 20th and last of the long line, pointing to the place the music ends, still with the tragic undertow of Rome, sends the best of men to lonely graves. But though life's lost, love has always won, finding heaven like an everlasting home. So now in Zion the Son and his true friends gather for the blessings of bread and wine, far from the boisterous voices of the waves. Friends, you have chosen an island amid the crossed seas of Rome and Zion, but scarcely in this gentle room can we hear the waves. You have done well. Let us eat. I take up bread. I break it with my hands. This is the earth, the embodiment of the life of the Son of Man. I have broken. Eat this with me. Take God into the havens of your flesh. I too partake with you. You have done well. Let us drink. I take this cup. I tilt it with my hands. This is the seas, the elixir of the wine-dark sorrow of the Son of Man shall never run dry on the gentle pages of the world. Drink this with me. Take God into the havens of your heart. I too partake with you. Fear not. I am the vine. You are the stems shall bear the fruit as long as you endure in my name. Abide in me, and I shall abide in you. I am the vine. You are the branches. God shall trim often to toughen your sinews. But fear not. I am rooted in the stars. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if now you abide with me. Not servants, do not know the ways of their Lord, but you know mine. A little while you shall see me, and again a little while you shall see me. A woman in travail is in agony at her hour, but as soon as she has brought forth her child, the anguish passes from her mind. A child, the Son of Man, is born. You shall be scattered, each one alone, in the world. You shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. These things I command you, that ye love one another. Nothing excels this. It is all here in this. Let me now say my Amen. In the beginning was a boy born. It was the child nurtured by inane desires for bewildering empires that forced me from the fathers to become a forlorn gull on the high seas, and then away from home, hammered by innocence and jilted, found in the just cries of two jays the true king of love, and through a satanic madness and nihility, and then odes of true love, distilled from priceless pearls to a quintessence, leading to a bonding, miraculous resurrection. Then again, through solitude and time, to a loving unison of all the voices of the world, to an ecstatic death for one and for all, an ongoing love for the world's youth in Zion and beyond, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. At the beginning, for my love. Then thought I to understand this, but it was too hard for me. And all the while, Johanan leaned his head on the son's breast, the disciple whom he loved, closest to the heart of God. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. Do not let me cry now that the celestial bird of the world passes away. Z. Book of Zion. Down out of Jerusalem he led them, the final breath of Zion's winded lungs, down by Siloam where Gethsemane lay, a grove of olives, oaks and palms. Here they will come for me. They may find me here. My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even to the death. Then high in Zion a horn rang long, sounding out from the jungle dominion of Jehovah and imperial Rome. And horns cried in their minds as the death rattle began in the city. Friends, they are drawing near. Stand away from me. I alone shall greet them. Descending from Jerusalem, Rome sounding with them, priests and captains. When shall war be severed from religion? To believe arms and shields can protect God is to dwell frozen in the kingdom of this. Heard them nearing, clanging out of Zion, a shining battalion to overwhelm one man. If they come in this roaring phalanx, is it not a sign they believe in me and my credo? Shouting torches glittered amidst the trees. The night visibly darkened as they neared. Judas, the flaming inquisitor, leading them to Gethsemane, entered the haunted grove, and silence rose. Zion flickered in the night, echoes of festival, starlings on the parapets of buildings, sounding above the roar of the streets. But far off, a priest stepped forward, saying, "I come for the Son of Man, believed he is Son of God. Let me see his eyes." And one by one they fell beneath his scrutiny, stopped on Johanan. "You, Venice, they said you were young and fair. You are he." And Johanan said, "Yes, I am the Son. Take me into Zion. I am ready to go now." But Judas stopped him with a cry, "Brave, my child, but I too am here." He faced his abandoned maestro. "Diakonos, I did not think you craven, but here you choose your love mate to bear your burden. Capitano, this is not the Son of Man, it is his friend. When it comes to dying, the servant is a coward." Judas approached the Son and kissed him full on the lips. And even then, the Son's brain flew to thoughts lost in catacombs of memory, where the boy Johanan stood in the sunshine. And a rhapsody of longing filled his soul, quickened by the sudden perfection of the irony of this moment in the garden. The single, true kiss of my entire calling needed to be one of treachery. Not I to betray, but I to be betrayed. Thus, Iscariot Diabolos, you establish my name. And Johanan, my friend, bird of my soul, the priest is not mistaken. You are a better Christ than I. You anointed only with bright sunlight, I with the sapped lips of this brother slayer. Adelpho Tonos, you who come for me, why do you come in the night? I have been all day in the temple, visible to men. Children, they have come now. Do not weep as I do at my parting. Though the chill moon be ill, though the sun sweat in delirium, though the world become a dead eye, send music from ear to ear, as beacons in fiery years bleed the news from hill to hill on the rugged pages of the sky. Or as bells roll bronze streams over warm vales on days that shall remember me. Remember me as a living man of earth, first in your own words, my people, and you too in your time will pass away, then in your children's words, and your children's sons, and ever in the crying of world winds, in the voices of birds, in the bleating of lambs, in falling of blossoms, petals in snowstorms, in the endless turning of street wheels, in each metropolis. I will arise and go now. In the ionic thunder of communication, in swords and shields, on the inevitable red-streaked battlegrounds, and I grieve in hills and across plains throughout the world, and in the laughing sea the brave shall sound. The eternal brave, and love is the note I have sounded, dying as I hold the chord, and no man can modulate the key. Forever and forever a brave. They shall hang me on a cross, abandon me to jackals and the wind. Then I thought to understand this, and the captains swept him away, the Son of God, lost amid erring sons of men. Yet his friends followed him far into Zion, Kabbalah, kernel of the world's eternal reality, fragments of anthropismos, scattered, forlorn. A merchant's scales lay abandoned in the dust. He was taken to the heart of Jerusalem, questioned, scourged, and mocked, as the legend goes. He did not see men around him, no Hebrews, Romans, captains of Zion, the dying stars shining in the night. And I am a star also, that shine among them. This world choir roars abroad and abroad. I hear all seas of earth cascading chasms down, lights torn from the retina of the sun and drawn in to the black dracos of the cosmos. Now there is light, not of suns or stars. I know it, but men of the world do not, for I am that light of the world. From my living Kliegel eyes, shot beams pan out, prisms streamed always to shine on those whose destiny goads them to stand radiant within their rays, splayed into innumerable rainbow bars, reaching so far and with such force hurled, they never arrive at final destinations, journeying on through the dark roads where there is no night or visible light. I hear earth's children yet unborn, crying in voices lost and forlorn. They call to this and all generations, call in vain, for one they'll never find. For I am not with them in any land. Israel now campaigns my shame. Why will they never understand? They are building my eternal fame. I hear war and the world explodes, and his blood runs far into the night, into which also flies the light of mankind, and in the seas eternal sighing I hear God crying. Pilate said, "This man, or Barabbas, must be victim for the multitude. Do as you will. It is not my concern. This man looks sane, yet I neither love nor despise him. I am Rome." Yes, he is Rome, the example of my wisdom. There shall always be Rome and Zion, engines and men, and in days to come these shall come together and be one. The remnants of mankind shall adore. For there is no kingdom in the heavens. There is no inferno but now. And now God is what is, and all that is God. And this shall be the God that abides in our children and was in me. I did not understand till now, when it is too late for utterance. And were it I now, and not Barabbas, chosen to be set free, I would need other ways to seek my crucial death. Happily today, this choice is made for me, and I take my own life now, not to promise an eternal kingdom in heaven after death, as will be misunderstood in times to come, but to establish here on this living earth an everlasting kingdom of loving kindness. It is morning. Jerusalem, tottering on her ancient hill, shudders under the weight of God visitant. The sinews snap and the bones crack, and the multitude swallows me whole, who themselves shall go down. My eyes, they are shining on men. Morning deigns to illumine them for the last time. The day dawns not from the east, but from my Eden eyes. Clang of hammer on nails rings. Men join colossal beams in the dawn. I and my engine, in after years, they shall adulate a cross as human and divine powers, an icon of what is to come. Neither man, nor engine, nor God, but one brave, of a higher world, the remnant of mankind shall adore. What cockerel irony crows in this blessed hour? Once this might have been my croft, to nail beams, to hang criminals. Where are they now? My mother and my father dying in Galileas. May they never see me now while I die. Thorn my gilden crown, and the Son of Man scourged by men. Yet I see nothing but these bleak shores, always these howling sands, this shore, the waves, and an anvil ringing at my ears. And the morning greets me dearly as ever. I hear the sea and seabirds bless me with their cries. Out of Zion, out of crying Jerusalem, the last breath to Golgotha scree. But I do not know commands of men. Nothing of earth troubles my mind. Now I am lain on my brandished tomb. This wood is a bed for kings and slaves, all of whom I am in this moment, and God, dying. I am at rest as never before in my days. They have taken my hands, my wrists. What wine enters them? And my feet, I hear the beat of the world's heart in this iron, and the cry of children. I open my eyes. The sky is as blue as ever. Soon the sun shall adorn these white hills. Now I am rising on my hanging tomb, all Jerusalem before me. Or is it Zion rising without a sound? I do not move. Gleams in this coming day, which shall never come, or when, home upon home, the temple shines on the eastern sky. The day comes fast. Who weeps? Women, do not weep. I am not your son. Or weep, and forgive them, for they know not what they do. You people who see me now wane on this gallows, you sons and daughters of men, that is the mother of God. Hey ho, Jerusalem, riding on a donkey's back. Golgotha, swarming with Canaan's kins. Lazarus, what is this I am given to drink? I will cast in all my pearls and make it one lost golden wine. Morning sings free over the land. No cloud mars the clear blue sky. It is beautiful day, and the sun slants down on this dusky multitude, on my tomb where hangs a dying Christ of the world. Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. Oh, my little bird, not scattered yet. You have not flown away. Lowlands, lowlands, away, my Johannan. Sing me a song in the hills when it is accomplished. And Johanan, seeing that he was not with him, sang a gentle dirge in the morning of Zion and the end. Burns a cross of iron in my breast, him on it that died in my time, him on it, crying as my veins cry, crossing my heart, down and across. Is he and his love nailed as were nailed the beams he held together with the nails of his flesh? I hear him live through death and live after. I hear him home, if we can think he dwells there. Now I find him beginning in me. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now it is music, not the word. It is the sound. I have been loved by God. Now I must return forever that love. I must go on down that shining road. There is no end to that way on the crying seas. I am forever that singing gull in love's wake. Now I know that for crime-bent men who adorn fields, finish echoes in the wind when love beckons.